Okay, hello and welcome back again to the CodeMaven Bootcamp. In this episode, we are going to talk about PyCharm. Hi, Nora.
Hi.
So we are going to talk about PyCharm, and we are recording this quite late in the programming in the course in the bootcamp. But if you're watching at the beginning, that's also or earlier, that's also fine. There are going to be things that even now I'm going to show, I think, at least one thing that we haven't learned yet, but how to use in Python. But I need that in order to show something, one of the usage of PyCharm. So let me share the screen. And there you are, right? You're seeing the main slide. And I can switch over to the slides where we have this chapter about PyCharm. It's primarily for me to remember what kind of things I would like to show, because the main thing is going to show the IDE. So first of all, installation, PyCharm. Okay, so I need to search for PyCharm and I get to the website, and then you get this nice, huge message about cookies. You don't nearly did that. Another message, doesn't matter. You can click on download, and then you will see that there are versions for the main operating systems, and you can have the professional or the community edition. I'm using the community edition, that's free. Okay, so you click on it. I guess I don't know if it's going to be automatically start downloading it. Yeah. Well, I don't really need it. I already installed it. Okay, so you download it, install it with the standard way of installing modules. I don't know if it's whatever. Okay. Point is, I think I have it somewhere downloaded as well, and then you run it and install it as any other application you would do. And once you have installed it, you can start it with just typing in PyCharm, and then you start the IDE. And now, before we actually start using it, why would you want to use it? It's just an editor, or it's just an editor like Notepad or Atom. But it's also an IDE that provides a lot of additional features. So let me actually go to the slide before I go on, because I have a slide for it. So it's an integrated development environment. That's what IDE stands for. And there are a couple of things that it knows about Python. So there is something called introspection. So Python itself can understand itself. And PyCharm can look into the code of what the code has. We can run directly from PyCharm. We can debug our code, so go step by step. We can do refactoring and probably tons of other things that we can do. So refactoring, that you may remember, changing part of the code. That the code will do the same, but it's easier to maintain it, and probably lots of other things that that you can't have in a regular editor. And I don't know about Atom and how well it provides these special features for Python specifically. PyCharm seems to be quite popular in the Python community. So back to the first time running. So first time I start running, PyCharm is talking about projects. So you can't really, or I don't know, I mean, maybe you can also edit a single file, but usually you work on projects. And the project is basically just a directory where you have files in there. Okay, and here I can say, okay, and you can open them various ways. I think I can say new project, doesn't matter. Open. I don't know. It's open file or project. Okay, so I can go and look for now a place where either I already have a directory with some code, or I think the new project would allow me to create my own new directory. But I already have this. So within my home directory, there is the Where is it? It's in the work subdirectory. There are the slides, and within the slides there are the Python slides. Okay, and let's say that that's the project. Okay, normally, I mean, once we learn about version control as well, or if you know version control, if you use version control, then the root of your Git repository is probably the root of the project. So that's the same thing. Here I don't do that because I have tons of other things. So I just say that all the Python files are one project. Okay. And what it does, let me go to the file explorer. So in the file explorer in the slides, and if I go into the Python subdirectory, then it created this subdirectory called .idea, IDEA. Okay, it's because and in that directory it saves all kind of information about the project. We don't need to keep them. If you're using version control, you don't add this to the version control because you only add to version controls things that you want to share with all the other all the other developers. But your configuration of your editor is not something that you share with others, because you might want to use the way I'm using here, that is a black background. Some other people prefer the white background, and all kind of different things that are specific. Okay, it's complaining about something. Lovely. Okay, I have no idea what is this, so I'm just saying okay. And it has some tips, and I don't want to see the tips anymore. Okay, so close. Windows Defender, good. I just don't want to about it. Windows Defender is the what is it? The virus protection of Windows or something. It's probably you want to exclude things so it won't interfere with the configuration of PyCharm. I don't care about that now. Okay, so what I have here is opening the project. One thing that I didn't ask me, and maybe it should have, I don't remember. Maybe I've already configured it partially, and for some reason it doesn't ask. But I have to tell it where is Python. Maybe it already found Python. Maybe that was one of the complaints, that it actually found Python 3.9, which is Anaconda. What do we have here? Python -v. I have 3.8.3. So I have no idea what Python it found or what is that. Okay. So I need, the first thing I would like to do is configure to tell PyCharm where is my Python. And that's one of the things that I noticed in many of my courses, that people accept all kinds of things that PyCharm tells them, and then they don't use the same Python in PyCharm as they are using on the command line. And that partially means that they install some module with pip, and then it's not available in PyCharm, or they install it with the PyCharm and it's not available outside. It's better to have a single Python, and I mean, once you're an expert in this, then you can use multiple versions of Python, and once you understand it. So what I do is go to the file settings, and here I type in interpreter, and then it says Python interpreter. Okay, and here is where I can select, and I see that it already selected the Python that sort of Windows comes with or offers, which is not even a real Python. It's just the promise of having Python. So if you run this Python, then Microsoft will tell you, okay, would you like to install Python? And so instead of that, I need to find another interpreter. So I say show all. It doesn't have any other. So what I did is it's the same, I think, here, show all. So it knows about these interpreters, these versions of Python. So it didn't find the one that I actually would like to use. And this one I don't want to ever use, so I remove it. And then I add the one that I would like to use, which is an existing environment. So make sure you don't create a new one. an existing environment, I think that's what I need. And here, well, here I have to select the Python that I have, which is, I have to find it. And if in case you don't remember where is it, you can type in where Python, and it will tell you that this is the first one it found. Okay, the second one was the problematic one that you also saw there. Okay, so the first one is what we are using, which is for me it's installed in C, Gabor, Anaconda 3, Python.exe. So I look for it. It's in C, Gabor. Here it is, Anaconda, and here I have Python.exe. Okay, so now I selected it. It actually notices that it's Anaconda, and I can also make it available for all the projects, so I won't have to deal with this every time. Okay, so now it should appear here. Okay, I can click OK, and now this is the one that is selected. And at this time, sometimes PyCharm starts processing a lot because it starts indexing all kinds of things. But one thing that it does is loads the full list of all the Python modules that are already installed. And it shows the installed version and, sorry, the name of the module, the package, the installed version. And I don't know, at one point, it will show me the newest version available that could be installed. Okay, maybe it's working on this in the background. I don't know, but that's what I needed. So I configured the interpreter. Okay, and that's an important part. And now I can start using it. So let's go to. Let me look at my.
Sorry. Just one question there. It still said Python 3.9 at the bottom.
Yeah, so you can see updating skeletons.
Oh, right.
It's scary, it sounds, but it's probably dead.
Okay. All right. So now
maybe I had to select it, I'm not sure. So I clicked here and I selected the other one. Maybe it would have been updated automatically. That's good that you code that. I didn't notice it, yeah. So you can see it's doing some stuff in the background. So it's probably going over all the modules or the packages that are installed in that Python. So it will be able to suggest things. It might be going over my own source code. So it's going to be easier for it to find things. But once it's done, and it will make your CPU work even harder. Okay, so yeah, so PyCharm itself is written in Java, and it uses a lot of CPU. Okay, but then it gives you various nice features. Okay, so this was the next, actually the next slide that we said that the file settings project interpreter, and then you have to select the right interpreter. And then we also saw where we see the modules. So now let me use this before I actually show you code. So we go back to the file settings in the project interpreter. If it's not opening here, then you just type in interpreter and find it. And then it will take a couple of seconds, show you the list of packages. And now you have a choice. You already know how to install packages using pip on the command line, but you can actually come here and click on the plus sign and then type in whatever name of a package. You probably will have to wait till all these things updated, because normally it will show me the list of all the available packages, but it's probably working on it now. Okay, but anyway, through this you can install also packages, and because they are both pointing to the same Python, it doesn't matter, it will install to the same place. So it behind the scenes just uses pip. You can just select this thing. Okay. And we talked about projects, and in case you have multiple projects, then you can select here new project, and pick a directory, and then you have these multiple projects, and then you can configure separately things in these projects and so on. Okay. On the left hand side, you can see here the main files, you can see the examples, and let's go to basics, for example. And here I have one of the first things that we did is the hello world somewhere. Did I have a hello world?
It was there, yes.
Yeah.
Hello.py. Okay.
Okay, so I just click on that one. It opens the file, and then I can yeah. Okay, I'll get to this in a second. So now it shows me the file. The syntax highlighting. It puts these things underneath. So if I put the mouse above it, then it gives me some message. What's the problem? So PEP8 is I don't know if I mentioned it. So PEP stands for Python Engineering Paper. I don't remember. The point is that when someone wants to make a substantial change to Python itself, that person needs to write up a PEP, a PEP, and it gets a number, and then it's like a document explaining what the changes will be and how it's going to happen and so on. Specifically, PEP8 was there to describe how to write Python program, how to format it. So it's mostly about how to format your code. And there are external tools that you can run against your program to check it, but PyCharm, while you are editing, it also does this all the time, and then it disturbs you with these underlines. Now it doesn't show the whole thing, it only shows the little one. Anyway, it says expected 2 blank lines after class or function definition. So now it's up to you if you want to go and do as PEP8 decides and add another empty row here, or you say I disregard it, or you might even say, okay, you can say reformat file, and then it will do all the changes necessary for you. Or you can say more actions. What can I do this? Okay, so you can say more actions, and I think ignore errors like this, and then it won't bother you with this specific warning. Okay, because it's just trying to be helpful, but you might say, okay, I don't care about this, just don't bother me with this. And there are like 100 different or 200 different of these messages, and you can decide and configure what is important for you and want to be negged and what is not. And here, what we have here is that, so let me check it. Here, in the root of the directory of my project now, where is it? Yes. Okay, here I have this file called requirements.txt, which is a standard way in Python to define what other packages your program depends on. Okay, I can also show it here. If I go to the requirements, okay, so this is how it looks like. And what PyCharm does is automatically noticed that I have this file in my project and automatically checked and said, okay, these packages you don't have installed, your project requires, but you don't have them installed. And it offers me to install all of them. Okay, now I just ignore them because I don't care about that for now. Okay, but this is like trying to be helpful again to have your project. But okay, let's do the simple stuff here. So we have the code. Now what can we do here? We can of course edit here. Yes, well, I add one space and then it should disappear, right? Because now it's satisfied with the 2 spaces, 2 empty rows. But the interesting part is that I can come here, run, and click on this run. Now notice there is a run here, which is currently grayed out. It will be available soon. So, but this one is, with this one, I can run the current file. So I click on this one. it offers me some options here, but it offers me the name of my file, and I click on that, and it runs the program. And here is the output. So I didn't have to go to the terminal to run my program. Okay, I could actually come here and here click on this button, and now I have a terminal. So I could do that as well. And I can come back to the output and see what's there. Okay, so that's one of the things that you can do. You can run the program. Now let me open another file here, hello variable, just another one. I can run this as well. Now when I click here, you can already see now that the first one is also available here. And the first one points to the original, the one that we had earlier, the hello world. Okay, but if I click now this first one or press Shift-F10, then it will run the hello world that I had before. Okay, if I want to run this script, then I have to go again to this second run, click here, and here I can select the hello variable, and now it runs this one. And if I click on the run, now it is the default. So always the last one is the default. And if you are writing lots of small scripts, then this is annoying a little bit. But if you are writing an application where you have a single script, and then you are actually working in modules, and that can be easily done because the single script only loads the module and runs the single function of the module. And then that's how it works. Then it's much better that you have mapped one script that you are running all the time, even though you are editing all kind of other files. Okay, so that's the reason it's is there. Actually, you can also run it here, and you can click here, and there are all kind of ways to do that. I think this one also runs it, so you can have the same effect in various places. So so far is good. We can also, if you have any questions, just ask, because I'm trying just to show, and that's why I have these things. So PyCharm files. So how can you open a file? One thing that we saw, that you can look here in the project menu and find the file. Another way would be file, open, and then file define. If you would like to create a new file, then you would click here and then decide, let's say, Python file, and then this cuckoo. You don't even have to write the extension, because it automatically adds that extension. It also, if you were using version control, it also offers you to add it to the version control. That I have it here. For now, I don't do that. And now I can start writing here. Okay, so for example, I say import sys. Okay, and now if I start typing sys and then click on dot, then it offers me the list of all the functions that I can use. Okay, so that's one of the real big values of it. So let's say copyright, and then I put in print around it, just so I have no idea what this copyright is. And then I can run it. Okay, again, I have to go here and click this one, select the one that I'm interested in, and so it prints out the copyright information of Python. Okay, so let's try something else. A equals 23, the string 23. So what can I do with a string? A dot, and then you can, what kind of things you can do. So for example, you can, so it not only shows you the name of the function that you can do, but that you can use, but you can also, it also shows the parameters. So for example, there was the rstrip. Okay, so I can call rstrip on it, and then here too it shows me the parameters that I can use. Okay, interesting. Okay, so I have this new line, let's say removing new line. Okay, and then I assign it back to another variable, just to have something. Okay. And then you don't, okay, so you don't even need to save really the file, because I think it's auto-saved. which is something you can configure that automatically saves the file. But definitely when you start to run something, it saves the files. So you don't have to worry about that. What else? Ctrl-Shift-N. Okay, so this is here, Ctrl-Shift-N. This is another way to open a file. Ctrl-Shift-N, and then I can start typing in the name of a file anywhere in my project. I don't have to locate it because now I have a huge directory tree. So I had something I think I called demo. Yeah, it's in the examples.pycharm directory. It's called demo. Okay, and just by typing in demo, it found all the scripts that have something to do with demo. Either it's in the directory called demo or the name of the file is demo. So this is an easy way to locate files, especially if you have a big project. So this is what I had. Here it's complaining again about the same thing because I keep adding one line. So I just don't want this complaining anymore. More actions, ignore errors like this, okay? So I don't want that. Actually, I think settings. Okay, so I went to the file settings, typed in pep, and it shows me the one that I just disabled. I think this one. Okay, but here you can configure it. So if you disable something that later you decide that you want it again, you want it back again, then you can go there and configure the whole thing again. So here I have some script. Let me close this. That I can run. Okay, let's run it. What does it do? I have no idea. Let's read it quickly. So I close this window. And so there it has a main function, a couple of functions. It has this, remember, conditional to run the code. It calls main, and the main itself calls the get limit, which gets a value. It has a fixed value and gets from the sysargv a value and returns that limit. That's it. I just wanted to have small functions. So this is how it gets the limit. Then it calls the datetime. Now you might notice that this is grayed out a little bit. The reason it's gray is because the variable date is not in use anywhere. So PyCharm is indicating, okay, you have a variable that you're not using it. Let's try this one. Import OS. Okay, it's gray because I imported a module, but I'm not using it. On the other hand, if I start typing in OS pass dir name, then it will complain that it doesn't know what OS is, right? So I can click on it, unresolved reference, and I can say more actions. Okay. I don't know where is it. It was here. Interesting. At one point it knew how to add it. So it would insert the import of OS. I can't hear you.
Sorry, don't you need to put this in a variable or something for it to?
No, it just offers me to give.
No. I mean, if you say, I don't know, A equals OS path dir name.
No, it's complaining about the OS, and
yeah, okay. No, it's just okay.
I'm surprised. Maybe it's, I don't know. Okay, I don't know why. It used to offer to add the import statement. Okay, but that's just a nicety, right? It's not that important. Okay, then we call it just random and print it out, and then we have this count function that gets the limit, and all it does some counting. Okay, now let's run this. Okay, so I run this program again, coming here, and it's called demo. and it's running and it finished and everything is nice. Okay, so it does some calculation. So what can I do? So one of the things that people ask at this point, okay, so how can I give the command line argument now that I'm running here? And that's what we can do here. So I come to the run, again to the run menu here. Here it offers me the list, and then I can click on the triangle, edit, and then here, lots of options. The one that I'm showing you is this parameter. Okay, so whatever you type here, let's say 42, okay, that's going to be on the command line. You can have multiple things here, okay, whatever you would like to put on the command line. Okay, it's a bit harder now to create several of these. You could actually create copies of these, of runs. So it's a little harder than doing on the command line, where you can really easily edit this. But that's sort of the trade-off. Okay, so now I run this, and it ran. Well, it now has an error. Okay, so we can see that there's a 0 division error in the code. So let me try to understand why. Okay, so we have a problem. How can we debug this? Okay, we didn't have the problem earlier, we have it now. So let's start with the debugging. If you look at here, you can say there is debug demo. If I click on this one, what? Okay, so it now the Windows Defender, actually it's good that the pop-up is there, because it shows other people will receive something like this. So the Defender, the Windows security thingy, protected me, or I don't know, or pretended that it's protecting me, and I configured it that I would only want to have on private networks to allow access. I think that's what I need. Okay, so let me stop this now and start it again. So I run debug, and what you can see here is that it's okay. Yeah, it stopped here because there was this exception. Okay, but if there was no exception, it would just run to the end. So let me try to do this now. The debug, edit, just remove this one and run the debug. So it just runs till the end. Okay, so let's try first this one to see what happens. How can we do some debugging here? Okay, so you need to add breakpoints. The way to add a breakpoint is to go to the line where you would like to stop and click here, and then you get the breakpoint. So by default, it's an unconditional breakpoint. Whenever the code gets here, it will stop running. So if I now start running debug, it stopped here. Okay, you can it shows where are we, and the screen is the resolution is way too big to see enough things here. Okay, but we are at this point. Now what can we do here? It also shows here that here are these buttons, which also have keyboard shortcuts that you can use to make progress in your code. So step into first. So I'm going to use the mouse for now, so you can see it, but it's probably better to get used to the keyboards, the keyboard shortcuts. So step into, it gets to the next expression, which is inside the function. Again, step into. Now you can also see the value of that variable that was just created and which is in the scope. Step into. It didn't go into the sysargv. Now you might want to see what is in sysargv. Okay, so you can add here sysargv, and then you can see that's the name of my program is there. Okay, Good. Step into. So this is the step. It's next step. Okay. There are a couple of ways to do next step. One of them is what's called step into, and you'll see why is it into. So next thing, printing. So this print went out, I think, to, sorry, not wrong window. In the debug window, I have the console. Okay, so here I selected the debug, and I have either the debugger part or the console part, where I can see the output coming from there. Okay, so now the date time. Okay, I still click step into, nothing happens. It actually shows me the values that I get, so it's also nice. Okay, and now I call random run range. Okay, step into. Where are we now?
Did we just under the module itself?
Yes, exactly.
Oh God.
So now we are actually debugging the source code of the random module, which is probably not what we wanted. Okay, so what can we, I mean, you can, so that could be actually fun if you really wanted to understand how other modules work that you didn't write. So it's a really nice tool to that. But let's say now we did this just by mistake. Okay, we don't want to get into it there. So then there is this, where is this? This one, step out. Step out, what it does, it says, okay, run till the end of the current function. Execute everything and stop immediately after you finish the current function. So you step out from the function. Okay? So we got immediately after the execution, and I can keep clicking on step into. Now it printed out the value of R&D, and now this is the question. Okay, so I can show you this one. Step into will get into the function, which we actually want. Step over will execute the whole function and stop immediately after. So that's probably what I wanted when that's what would have been better when I was on top of the run range function, clicking on step over. So it just, okay, execute everything and stop immediately after. So that's the difference between step into and step over. Okay, but let's now step into. So we get into the count function. And here you can just print F7 here now. So you can see that it goes over all iterates over the loop, okay, and calls this show function, which is just print, okay. So when you had enough, and you can see while you're running this, while you're stepping over, you can see the values of different things, and that's one of the ways to understand where a problem might be, okay. When you are done with this, when you had enough, you can just click on stop demo and then it will run the whole thing, or you can say resume program. This resume program is especially good if you decided, okay, I looked at some part, this is not here, I would like to stop somewhere else. You put a breakpoint somewhere else and you would like say, okay, just run and stop when you encounter again a new breakpoint, okay. So this could be good if you have a big program, you have several breakpoints, or you looked at one part and then added a breakpoint and then you would like to run till there. Okay, but for now, just let's stop this and do what we had earlier, right? The problem we encountered earlier, which was that when we had this 42 here, then it crashed at some point, okay? So now it stopped because we had the breakpoint, okay? And now we can do the, okay, step into, okay? So we can actually look at this, so limit. You can see that the sysrv has the 42 here as a string. I do the step into, now it gets into the conditional because now we met the condition. So the limit now has this 42. and that's what we get back. Okay, so far that part worked. Here that was okay, and I can click her step into, because apparently this is not implemented in Python. This package is apparently implemented behind the scenes in C, and so there for this editor, for this ID, it's obscure, right? You can't look into it, you can't step into it. So for it, it's just like any other built-in function of Python. So I clicked step into. Now here I'll do the step over. Okay, so it just ran, executed, and I got back the value. Back to step into and step into. And now, I mean, do you remember when was the breakage?
When was the breakage? Well,
when was the exception? There was an exception.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was. I mean, I know it was a division by 0, right? But I don't remember what line it was.
Yeah. So it was somewhere. It was somewhere in this loop.
Right.
But I mean, obviously now. So how can you find the actual iteration? We're going to have 42 iterations here. Are we going now to click on F7 like 40 times?
I hope not.
No. So when you run the program, you might have noticed, I wrote it that way, so I remember, that's around 12, that's going to be divided by 0, okay?
Yeah.
So we might have seen that after 11 iteration, it was still okay. So we are going to put in a breakpoint here. But if I run now, then it will still stop at every iteration at this point. What I would like is that it will stop only after 11 iterations. So now I can right click, I think, on this one. So it's right click, and then I can put here a condition. And the condition would mean that ix equals to 11. Ix is this variable. So I can actually type here any Python code, I think. Okay, done. And now I can click on run, and it reached the ix equal 11. And if I look at the console, it already printed out, it executed the iterations 11 times or 10 times. Okay, so this is this conditional iteration is super powerful because if you have a long loop, or you might get not even, it might not be even on an iterator index that you know, but you might get data from a file, and then you know that if the data is looks like X, Y, Z, then you would like to stop. And before that, not, because you don't care about, you know that the bug is not there. Okay, so, and now you can just continue with the regular short steps, and then look at the code, and hopefully you will notice at one point that there we have a 0. I mean, it won't solve you in a better way. It won't tell you that this was your error. I mean, Python already told you that there was a division by 0 on which line, so you could have figured out that way as well. But sometimes you don't understand this, or you don't, or there are more complex things. And maybe my example is not that good. But I wanted to show how to add a conditional breakpoint. Okay, and I wanted to show you how to add command line arguments. Okay, so that's it for now. We can stop the demo. We understand how it is. I guess someone will fix the code. Let me see the slides. So here we had the slides, the run, set command line parameter, send environment variables. So we haven't learned about environment variables yet, but let me comment this whole thing out now. So I Control/, yeah, it works. Okay, so commented out the whole code. I don't know, I don't even need this one. Okay, now I just wanted to. So there is, what did I do? I guess it's just hiding. No idea. Okay, so the only thing I would like to OS and okay, let me import it. Import OS and OS environ. Okay, and let me print this out for now. Okay, so let's see what is this. Run demo. It's printed out this environment. Okay, yes, okay. So in Windows and also in Linux, there are what we call environment variables. So these are these variable names and some value. A variable name, home drive, and some value. Okay, and in Windows, if you type in set, you will see the old variables and their value. The one that I don't remember if we've talked about is the variable called path. Okay, which contains a list of directories, and when we type in Python, it will look in these directories to find where Python is located. Okay, and when things are installed, then they usually add their location into this path environment variable. Okay. On Linux, you would say print-env. So we say print-env, I think. Yes, in Windows doesn't work, but in Linux, that's what would you do in order to see all the environment variables. And they are used by the operating system. Okay. But sometimes you would like to get access to these variables from within your program. And that's what OS environment provides you. So OS environment is a dictionary where the keys are the environment variable names and the values are the environment variables itself, the values. So if I say here print environ pass and I run this program, then I have the same content that you see here, which is just a long list of directories separated with a semicolon. But what if I print out OS environment and let's say I call the Kukurikú environment variable. Okay, so what happens here? Run. I get an error because it's a dictionary and this key doesn't exist. You might recall that we can also say this get and some key name, and in this case, if I run this, I get none because it doesn't exist. So maybe, and that's what I'm saying, that I'm showing you something in PyCharm that we haven't learned really in our program. But sometimes you will want to have in your program to be able to access some environment variable specific for your program. So you decide that you, the user, instead of giving you parameters on the command line, you expect the user to configure some environment variable. It's usually done when you want to have something more permanent. So the user, the command line parameters is per execution. The environment variable is usually you set up your environment to be 3 and I set up to be 7. And then for weeks or years, we are using the same environment variable, and then the program can use that. So for example, in this case, you would want to get the environment called Kukurikú. And you see that you couldn't do that. If I had it in Windows, so let me try this. Where is my demo? PyCharm. It's actually here. Okay, let me clear this rest of the code. I think I don't need it for now. Okay, so the same file that we were editing is here. If I run in Windows, this is the same file. Okay, I'm just showing. So if I run this here, Python demo, it does the same, prints out the content of path and then prints out none. Now in Windows, I could say, I think this is how I do it. Set Cuckoo equal to hello. Okay, and if I run it now, then it says, yes, it says hello. Okay, so now I set the environment, it's only available inside this window. If I wanted to make it more permanent, then I would go to the control panel, and then there, I'm not showing that part now. Okay, what I'm trying to show is, okay, so if I run this now, I just show you again, it's still none. Okay, because PyCharm doesn't see what is in that window. This setting is only in this window. I mean, even if I open a new Anaconda shell, it doesn't have it there. Okay, it's just in this instance of the Anaconda prompt. So how can I run this program now and give it the environment variable? Here too, for that too, here I come here, I click on the triangle, edit, and here it has environment variables. And you can say Cuckoo world and run, and it says none. Okay, run, edit, demo, edit. Yes. Okay. It needs different type of magic. So apparently it just needs a semicolon between the two, but you have this editor to do that. Okay, so I run this one, and now you have world there. Okay, so this is the same way, I mean, more or less the same way as you provide for the command line parameters. Okay, in case you would like, so for example, if you would like just to try your program when the path is set to something else, okay, then you can override what is in the path for the execution of that program, or any of the other environment variables that we see here. Okay, and then you can try what happens there. Okay, what else? So the debugging, we saw the debugging, we saw the breakpoints, we saw how to inspect variables, right? Conditional breakpoints, the various step functions. We saw that there is this terminal. Okay, so this one is just instead of opening the Anaconda shell, Anaconda prompt. There is this console, okay, Python console that's running now that you can use x equal 2 and print x, and just if you'd like to have an interactive shell. I don't really use these things, but you have variables here and so on. This TODO is fun because if you add this thing, then it will show you that it actually shows that in the, oh, it tells me that there is a typo somewhere. Okay, that's getting, yeah. So it can find all the items where I said to do in my source code. Nothing else beyond that, but people often write this, okay, I write some code and then you add some to do that I don't have time right now to think about it because I have other part to solve, but I know that I have to come back, and so I write a to do and some text. To do, I think maybe I need the colon here, I don't know, I think it's already there. Yeah, it's now 6, you see, it says 6, and if I give it 7, so apparently I also have this to do in all kind of other files already, so in this project. Okay, demo. So this is just the console, nothing. And then the refactoring thing that I think is the last thing that I wanted to show here. So this is the calc.py. So do you remember how to open this? Ctrl-Shift-N and calc.
Right.
Calc, and then it finds all the calc examples that I have. It's in the PyCharm, examples PyCharm. So I calc, there's the first one apparently, okay, here, okay. By the way, okay, some other thing before that, if you go to help and find action, which is Ctrl-Shift-A, is the same window, but a different thing. And here you can say, let's say, comment. This is searching inside all the features of PyCharm itself. So if you'd like to know, for example, how to comment out lines, then you come here and then you start typing, and it tells you in which location is inside PyCharm, that menu. So you don't have to search like the almost unlimited menu options. You don't have to go over all of them. You can search for them. Okay, that's a really nice feature there. Okay, so we have this calc function, calc code that I don't need this one. One of the things that you might notice here is that they have two functions with really, really bad variable names, but they have this Z multiple times. Now I can click on Control F and search for something. And I'm sure that there is somewhere there is the search and replace. So find, replace. Okay, so I could do that, but that would find all the Zs. And I would like to change only this Z, not this one. Okay, so I highlight it, right click, no, right click, and then I have the refactor. And there are various ways to refactor things. One of them is just to rename, and let's say call it ZZ. Okay, and it changed this one and didn't touch the other one. Okay, so it's a really nice way to do this. And let me try to do something else here. Okay, so there is some other code here, and then return this one at least also, and then Z, and then TT equals to QQ plus ZZ, let's say. Okay, so I just have some garbage code here. Okay, but I decided that it's way too much in this function. So I can say, okay, I would like to move this whole piece of code. Okay, let's not use ZZ. That's just 42. Okay. Okay, that's what I would like to take this piece of code and move it into a separate function. So I highlight it, right click, refactor, and then extract method. And it asks me what is the name of the method. Other function. It automatically noticed that this piece of code needs X and Y. So it will send in, it offers you to send in the parameters X and Y. Okay, it will look like this. And the output variable is QQ, because this is the QQ that, okay. Oh, that's interesting actually, because TT is not used anywhere. It doesn't offer me as an output variable. Let me try to fix this. So what if I also use TT here, and I highlight this code, and I say refactor, extract method, other, okay, function. And now you can also see that now it offers both as output because both are used. And then I click on OK, and it replaced, it put here the call of the function with the parameters, assigning back to the two variables it needed, and the function is here. So, I mean, all of this can be done manually, of course, but
it's fun.
Yeah, and these are here's also the menu of Refactor. Okay, so you can do all kind of these things here as well. So it can be really, really helpful. And of course, there are, I mean, and you saw there are tons of options. to make the whole thing really super powerful. But that's it. That's way more than I think enough to getting started with it. If you have any questions here, then
no, not for now. I'm sure it's going to take a long time to explore the whole thing, but
yeah. So it has a lot of values, I guess, if you get used to these things. Okay. So then, thank you for watching, and we'll stop this video to stop this recording now, and then we are going to get back to the next chapter when we are going to talk about some more Python code. Okay. So see you.
see ya.